Officer Young Food. Hi guys. Lord, you are great. You are greatly to be praised. Dun, 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 dun. Lord, you are great. You are greatly to be praised. To see they happen. Na 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 na. Jehovah na 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 na. Na, 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 na. Hey guys, Lord, you are great, you are greatly to be praised. Da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey guys, it's Tuesday, but it feels like Friday. Hey, go Liz, it's your birthday. Go Liz, it's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's your birthday. The rest of this song is not worth singing for Christian. So we're gonna drop that. Guys, it's gonna be an awesome live. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Add your friend. It's gonna be an awesome live. Today we're just gonna talk about practical tips you need to know before you marry in the United States. I don't know why it's taking me that long to come up with that topic, but I mean really it's something I should have been discussed like that, because a lot of people just don't understand what to do here in the U.S. Like when you get here, like what are marriage principles you should know, like what are legal marriage principles you should know before you go marrying someone or remarrying someone, because a lot of the issues I have with current clients who have been denied before, either for vow adjustment or status to marriage, simply because they just didn't know what they were doing and they just did things that you just would never do here in America that maybe you would have done in your home country. You can't do them here. So number one, long story short, you need to remember, always remember that the United States does not recognize polygamous marriages. Okay, it does not. The United States here, they do not recognize polygamy, right? That where you're married to more than two people at once. So if you're gonna remarry, you always, I know this is so basic. I mean, we should even know this, even if you're from Kenya or Nigeria or India or Jamaica. You should know, right? You should know this, but people don't really know this. You should know this. It should honestly be something that you should it should almost be like common sense, that you cannot marry a new person without making sure, without fully being divorced from the other person. But it happens. It happens. It happens. It happens. And I'm going to tell you why. It happens because people believe their spouses. Just today, I was talking to someone who is in I mean, it's a big mess that we're going to have to clean up simply because the person believed their spouse. Their spouse told them that their divorce was valid. So they went ahead and remarried someone here in the U.S. without checking their divorce certificate, or their spouse told them that their marriage was never valid. So instead of getting a proper divorce from their spouse who was here in the U.S., they then just remarried someone, and then found out after this the new spouse tried to petition for them. They found out after the new spouse tried to petition for them that they were still legally married to the first person. Stuff like this happens like a lot, like more than it should happen. So here are some rules, some principles you need to go by. In the US, number one, they do not recognize being married to more than one person at the same time. VAWA has some exceptions to that. But even with VAWA, we're still going to have to twist their arm. I mean, prove an exception for you to be able to get uh, a green card if you're technically married to two people at the same time. So, rule number one, America does not recognize you being married to two people at the same time. Make sure you're properly divorced from the first person before you marry the second person. That leads me to rule number two. Always, especially if you're from country that you know there is a lot of fraud, like Nigeria. Always get your divorce certificate checked before you remarry. Check it yourself. It's called due diligence in the law. You go and check it. You go and consult a lawyer. Don't depend on your spouse. You go ask a lawyer, is this divorce certificate valid? Okay, or rather yet, You don't even have to do all that if you were present. Be present in that divorce. Actually participate in that divorce. Actually show up at the court hearing. Like literally be there for the divorce. If you did that, you most times you can guarantee, even if you're from Nigeria, that that divorce certificate was valid. If you are actually present and actually participated in the divorce, then you'll be able to know, okay, I know that divorce was valid because I participated. But in a lot of cases, I see we have people who get a divorce while you're here physically. Like, how are you gonna get a proper divorce from Nigeria when you're physically here? Stuff like that. American government does not take that. They do check on your divorce certificate. They do check, did you actually go to your divorce hearing in Nigeria? Like, so if you got a divorce while you're physically in the US, all right, but it was at a time, I mean, it was at a time where you're physically in the US, but it was from a court in Nigeria. They do check, like, did you actually go to the court hearing? So, rule number 2 or 3, I'm like lost here. Appear for the divorce certificate. Be present for your divorce. Like, be present. Be present when you're going through your divorce. Be present. I know it's a hard time, but be present, especially if you're ever going to remarry here in the US. Be present. Rule number 3 or 4, I think I'm on 4 now. If you're going to get a divorce, I always say, get it from here in the United States. Get it from here in the United States. For those who, why always Nigeria? You understand when you're a lawyer, because Nigeria is where we have this issue. Sadly, I'll answer your question. Yeah, because it's a big issue in Nigeria, and because I do this 24 hours a day, sir. So I can say it. I can say it with all that I have, that it's a big issue in Nigeria. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, this made me lose my train of thought. Now, I was saying, if you have to get a divorce certificate, please, I always say, please try to get it from here in the US, like if you can, if you absolutely can. For those who are hearing it the first time, try to get your divorce certificate from here in the United States. Really, really helpful. If you're hearing this and you're yet to get a divorce, or you're yet to remarry, but you just finished remarrying your spouse from Nigeria, in a Nigerian court, and you're hearing this message today, let this be a sign to you to hopefully go and get a proper divorce certificate from a U.S. court, so you never even have to worry about this issue. Typically, we don't really have, I mean, it's very rare for USCIS to call into question a divorce certificate that was issued by a United States court, just because they just understand the systems here much more solid, much more thorough. Okay, doesn't mean that mistakes don't happen in the US, but it'll be a very rare occurrence for you to get a fraudulent divorce certificate from a US court. Okay, now rule number 5. I think I'm on 5 now. I'm on 5. I'm on rule number 5. So guys, when you first come to I think rule number 5 is, I would say, is that take your time before marriages. Now, again, this is just now things that, we should all know, but I'm just going to say, take your time between marriage to marriage. Don't marry someone a month or 2 weeks after you just married someone else. So you just got through divorcing someone else. 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, even 3 months is too short, if you ask me. Even 4 months is too short. You really want to wait something like more like 6 months, a year. In other words, you want to avoid looking like you're shopping for a green card. That's what that looks like. When you've been married a couple of times, and each time you married your spouse within a month, within 2 weeks, within 3 weeks. I mean, just think about how you would think if you were just an average person. Okay. Just think about how you would think about it, like if you're an average person and looking at your application and you've been married 4, 5, even 6 times, and each time you've been married after a month or 2 months or 3 months, it just looks like you're shopping for a green card. So this is probably the biggest advice, and it should be just something we all know. But I will say it for y'all. Stop getting married like immediately after you divorce the other person. Take some time. Take some time. First of all, to be honest with you, I even wonder where I'll get these people to marry so quickly. Somebody tell me, where do I find one of these people to marry within 1 month? Because I don't get it. So take your time before you marry. Okay, take your time. That would be my biggest advice. Time handles a lot of things. Because if you would have taken time before you married your next spouse, you would have had the chance to properly check your prior divorce certificate and find out and discover. Can you take a quick video and discover that divorce certificate wasn't right? Had you taken your time, you know, before you married your second spouse or your third spouse, had you just taken even 3 months, even 4, 5, 6 months, had you even taken a whole year later, you would have known and had time to check the prior divorce certificate to make sure it was valid. You would have had time to think through every step. You would have had time. So lots of decisions people make simply, when you really look at it, when you take a stance back, it's simply, and a lot of people who are in trouble, simply just because you are moving too fast. You are moving too fast. You had this thing like, I want to get my papers done. Your friends or your family was pushing you, get that green card no matter what. And in your haste, you got into your first marriage, it went down, it went bad. And instead of you taking time, recalibrating, thinking about what went wrong in that, you married your second spouse immediately again. Okay. And then maybe even your first marriage wasn't even properly divorced. I mean, you get the point. Just taking your time. Take your time. Just wait 6 months to a year, y'all. Like, just the way you normally would if you were still in Kenya, in Nigeria, in India, and Jamaica. If you just take your time to marry, we'll just avoid a lot of these issues, especially if you're Nigerian. If you take your time, just take your time. You'll be able to check your prior divorce certificate. You'll be able to know, oh shoot, this divorce certificate is not even valid. You'll be able to know all this stuff. Okay. And then real quick, I also want to say, well, let me take these questions first. Hello.
Hi, Attorney.
Good, and you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just want to know, what is the estimate time that for people to get a approval for the VAWA? So because it's been like almost 2 years plus now that I haven't heard anything from them.
Okay, so ma'am, I'm sorry, that is the one question I never answer on a live. That's a concession question. So you need to call me and schedule a concession. We can talk, okay? Okay, processing time for VAWA only discussing a concession.
All right.
All right, thank you. Sorry. Okay. Hello.
Hi, Attorney Wafula.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. So I have 2 questions. I'll just try to be fast.
Okay.
The first one is, my cousin is trying to put in her green card based on marriage, whatever.
Right.
But her spouse has been filing his taxes as single.
Okay.
And I don't know. I feel that they could still. I mean, she's trying to be the second sponsor because she does have what's it called? Work authorization thing from an asylum case, a previous asylum case. So she's trying to be the second sponsor because her husband doesn't meet up the government thingy.
Okay.
And but she files her taxes as married but filing separately. But he has been filing as single. Would that be like a problem?
Everything is always looked at in the totality of circumstances, okay? So that one thing in itself is not a problem as long as they have other things together. But of course, they could end up picking on it. But I mean, do they have other documents? Do they have leases, utility bills, bank accounts? Do they have other things going on?
They have home insurance, and actually the I-130 was previously approved about 8 months ago. She just want to put the I-45 now. I-485, okay. I'm sorry.
So I can't give a specific answer on that, madam. But long story short, normally it shouldn't matter if you have other things going on. But of course, they will try to pick on it, probably.
Okay. So the second question is
one question. No. You try to get me good there. You went straight into the second question.
I'm sorry, this is just a very simple one.
Simple answers. Yes, I know, but I have people in the line, so let me take some other people's questions too.
Okay, thank you, attorney. Bye.
Thank you. All righty. Okay, so before I take the next question, I wanted to address one more thing, one more advice. It's probably advice number 6 now. I wanted to say that you especially want to take your time before marrying a second or third or fourth, whoever it is your next spouse is, whatever number you're on. You definitely want to take your time also because especially in the situation where your previous spouse petitioned for you. So, for example, I marry Mr. A, and then Mr. A petitions for me. And then me and Mr. A don't work out. And then the petition that me and Mr. A filed, either he withdrew it or it was denied based on some reason, maybe inconsistent answers, or maybe even something worse like marriage fraud. I then marry Mr. B a month later. Okay, are you guys following? I then marry Mr. B a month later. Mr. B then petitions for me pronto, okay, just a month after I've divorced Mr. A. This is typically usually about a month or 2 months after the application that Mr. A filed for me has now been denied. And again, remember this time it was denied based on either inconsistent answers or based on marriage fraud, something like that. So now, in your common sense, just ask yourself, if you are a USCIS lawyer, what would you think? You would think, or an interviewer, you would think this person is just shopping for a green card. Because Mr. A petitioned for me, and it was denied, based on marriage fraud or inconsistencies. I then pronto divorced Mr. A. Then a month later, I'm already married to Mr. B, and Mr. B has already petitioned for me for adjustment of status to marriage. So just think about that. Moral of the story, especially if your prior spouse petitioned for you, you really, really want to take your time before you marry your next spouse. And by the way, and this is now, I'm going to advice number 7, I think. This is the other reason why. In family law, in most states, and I know this because I used to practice divorce law. Many people don't know that about me. In most states, they will say that when you get a divorce from someone, it takes 30 days before the divorce will become final. Okay, 30 days before the divorce will become final. In most states, they say it takes at least 30 days after your divorce was finalized. So after you got your divorce certificate from a U.S. court, most U.S. courts will say it takes at least 30 days before that decision becomes final. In some states, it could be longer. In some states, it could be even 60 days, even I think 90 days. Okay, so that means after you've gotten a divorce certificate from a U.S. court, it takes an additional 30, 60, maybe even 90 days before that divorce becomes final, which is why I say you need to take your time and wait before you remarry someone else, because technically, if you go ahead and marry someone before this divorce has become final, okay, you marry someone 2 weeks later, a month later, 2 months later, and your state says it takes a month, or your state says it takes 60 days, or your state says it takes 90 days before your prior divorce will become final. What you have done is you have technically now married 2 people at the same time. And the reason why they give a grace period after your divorce for that divorce to become final is that they usually it's due process. They want to give your prior spouse a chance to come and fight that divorce, or to say that maybe I never got notice and this divorce wasn't right. So they give your prior spouse an extra 30 days or 60 days or maybe even 90 days, according to whatever your state requires, for your spouse to now be able to come and say, I don't think this divorce was valid. Okay, so they give your prior spouse some time to make sure that your prior spouse will not come and fight that divorce saying it was invalid. In other words, it's due process. So to summarize it, you need to take your time to marry your second, third, or whichever spouse you're on now. Take your time before you remarry, because in most states, even if you got a divorce, a proper divorce in a U.S. court, in most states here in the U.S., in all 50 states and territories, it takes at least 30 days before your divorce becomes final. That is after they give you a divorce certificate. You need to wait an additional 39, 60 days, sometimes 90 days in some states before your divorce will become final, because of due process. Because of what? Due process. Okay. That information, y'all, is free. This information may cost you $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 from a lawyer. You just got it from me for free. Okay. Now, I just hope that this helps someone, and I hope that you share this with someone who may be thinking about remarrying. What's the right time? Because I know you have friends who will probably be asking you one day, should I marry this person? Is it the right time? Should I wait? Remember what I just said. At least 30, 60, 90 days. So usually what I tell my clients in a consultation, you need to be waiting at least 6 months. You need to be waiting at least 6 months to a year before you remarry someone new. For due process, because of family law, due process rules, because of how it looks when you're marrying from one person to another without taking your time, and for many other reasons that I'm sure I don't need to tell you. Okay? All right, now let me take some questions. I hope that really helps y'all, because I just really see this problem a lot. Like, it's a big problem, and it's just this desperation to get a green card no matter what. And it makes people just rush into marriages without thinking properly. Hello?
Hi, ma'am. My name is Nina. So first of all, thank you for the program and thank you for the opportunity. But I have a question.
Okay.
And my question is, I got a green card through my husband, and I've been in the U.S. So this March is going to make me like 6 years.
Okay.
And I've been married to him, and we have a child.
Okay.
So I was eligible for my N400, which of course I did, and I also attended my interview for N400. But
Okay.
He did not go with me to the interview, because at first I had like 2 years conditional green card, and the officer told me that he needed to be there in order for them to remove the conditions of my green card. But however, they still went ahead and did my N400 test and everything. So I passed the test and everything, but I was given a paper that says they checked my marriage was valid and everything. But they asked me if I had tried in the marriage, and I said yes, I did. And he and I been married. Our marriage was bona fide. But now the only problem is, before I could go for my interview for N400, he had moved out of the house. So we had 2 separate addresses. And they asked me, why was that? And I told them, I don't know why he moved. We were not in any problem or anything. I'm just staying with the kids, and he moved somewhere else. So then the officer called him.
Okay, ma'am. You're kind of losing. So what's your question?
So my question here is, what do I need to do? Because after the interview, my case was not decided upon. She just told me that if they need any other evidence or anything, they will let me know. But for now,
so this was your interview for an N400 or an I-751 removal of conditions?
N400.
Okay. But before that, you had filed for removal of conditions. Was that approved?
It wasn't approved, so they just keep extending it. It was extended, I think, 3 times.
Oh,
but
I
then,
see.
Within that process, I was eligible for N400.
So you filed. Okay. So now your question is what's the hold up in the decision?
Yes.
When was the interview?
My interview was on the 1st of March. So I just had an interview this month.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're tripping, ma'am. USCIS takes patience. You gotta be patient. Nothing. I'm sure. I'm almost pretty sure nothing has gone wrong since you haven't heard from them in a month. Just give it some time. Anyone who's ever gotten anything in the U.S. here in the U.S. the last 5 years will tell you that to get anything from immigration, it takes patience, even after your interview. So, um, I think my answer to your question is be patient.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. All right. Let me text these. These are the last two questions of the day, y'all. It's now 6:19, so 6:25. I'm gone. Last two questions of the day. Last two questions. Let's see, did they bring them on? Okay, so they're coming in on now. Let's see. Okay, hello? What's going on? Last two questions of the day. I'm trying to bring y'all in. So, let's see. So, I don't know if there we go. Hello?
Hello. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Good.
Yeah, so nice to speak with you this evening. I just want to ask a quick question, please, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone travel with the travel document? Can you go to UK? Or you can't?
Yeah, that's what it's for. I always say yes, that's what it's for. But you just want to make sure you're not in deportation proceedings, and then you want to remember back and think and make sure you don't have any criminal or fraud issues on your record. That's it.
No, I don't have any. You did my stuff for me, so I already got my travel documents and my work authorization.
So we would have told you this information on my case.
So, but
you can travel.
They said you can't travel with it. That they will just the lawyers will just tell you, oh, don't worry, you can travel, but it's a lie. So I just said.
No, that's not true. Well, then I always say, who's your lawyer, me or them?
I've been trying to call you, so I only spoke with Richard. I couldn't get in touch with you at all.
Yeah, but the answer, but we gave you this answer. My staff gave you this answer. If they gave you that answer, they asked me and I told them to tell you.
Oh, okay. Now, so do I still need anything from you again, or
Madam, this is not the right form. Okay, I'll call you. Okay, send Richard your number. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty. Last question of the day. While that person is coming on, someone says, okay. Hello?
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
All right. Thank you so much for this platform. I have a quick question. I'm a removal proceeding, but I filed for VAWA.
Okay.
And I just want to know if I'm entitled to work authorization and advance parole.
So you said you filed for what? I'm sorry, the noise distracted me. You filed for what?
For VAWA.
Okay. And you want to know if you're eligible for work permit and travel? Yeah, you should be. Yeah, your lawyer should have filed for that unless you didn't. Unless you said you didn't, you aren't interested.
Yeah, he did. I just want to know if I'll be getting it since I'm a removal procedure.
Oh, travel permit. Usually they won't issue you a travel permit until you're out of deportation proceedings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about work permit? Would they issue the work permit?
Yes, that's what I said. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can get a work permit. No problem.
Okay. All right.
Thank
you so much.
Bye-bye. Hello? Hello? Who is this person? Who is this person that has me hearing Yoruba? Hello? Oh my God. Hello, madam? Is she here to ask the question? Hello? Let me just remove her. Strange. Oh man. I got 5 people that suddenly want to come at the end. Y'all do this to me every time. I'll take one. We're gonna do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think I pressed eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's it. Last 2 questions of the day. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. So I just have a quick question, right? I know someone that filed in 2021 for VAWA,
Okay.
right? And they asked for evidence, and that was sent, right? And it's been pending since. Then 7 days ago, the person got correspondence. It was something about your correspondence.
Yeah.
It's like the information. It's like I can't run if I read this.
I can't hear you. Sorry. Can you speak up? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you speak up?
Okay, yeah. So it was saying something about correspondence is received and USCIS is still processing it. So do you know what that means? After
Yeah, it just means they're saying no new update. They're just saying we're still reviewing the correspondence that you sent in for your request for evidence.
Okay, this is after 3 years.
I know. So, but that's what that means. Literally, I'm answering your question. So that's what that means.
Okay.
What I would do is you need to contact maybe a congressman and see if they could follow up on your case. Because I think within 3 years you should have received a decision, especially if that was 3 years after having a request for evidence. I think you should have heard something by now, or have your lawyer follow up. And if your lawyer has already followed up and not gotten any response, then yeah, it's time to contact a congressman, or you can also do something called an ombudsman request on USCIS. But I think congressman is best.
Okay, yeah, because I think yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right,
I wish you the best. I hope you hear good news soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Okay. I think this is it, guys. This is it for the day. There's so many other questions. I'm gonna answer 2 written questions that I thought I needed to answer. Someone says I got my prima facie informants. Congratulations. Prima facie is a pre-approval notice for VAWA. So someone says, how long does it take to get a work permit? So a work permit right now is taking at least 6 months. A little bit more than 6 months sometimes, less or more. So it takes about, at the very least, most cases, at least 6 months to get a work permit. Sometimes it could take even up to 10 months, 6 to 10 months sometimes to get a work permit. I'm going to answer 2 more written questions and then we're done. Because I typically skip the written questions, but I see there's a lot today. So I'm going to answer 2 more written questions. Let's see. Okay, someone says that he's married. He's a green card holder. He's married to someone in Nigeria, and his wife has an F1 visa to study. What forms do you need to file? Sir, first of all, ma'am, I think you need to get a lawyer to help you. But typically, the form you'd file is called an I-539. But you need a lawyer for that process. Change your status, and especially helping someone get on F1 status can be difficult. And you can end up messing up your case and messing up your wife's ability to come. Get your lawyer to help with that. I don't do those cases, so I'm not even, don't call me. But you can go to avo.com. A for Apple, V for van, double V. So A for Apple, double V, which is V for van, double V, O for orange, avo.com. This is my answer to NOSA. Go to avo.com and you can find a lawyer to help you with F1 change your status. Okay. What happens when your spouse dies? You could file for VAWA, or you could get a substitute. Uh, you can get a substitute petitioner. I've done a live on this just this year. It's about 6 weeks ago that I did a live on this exact same topic. Like, what happens if your spouse dies? You have options. So if your I-130 was already approved, like let's say your spouse, you're married to a U.S. citizen spouse, and they died, like, and they say, let's just say that the I-130 had already been approved. You have literally a lot of hope. All you need to do is find another U.S. citizen. It could be a brother, a sister, it could be someone you know, it could be a complete stranger, literally, who's a U.S. citizen who does not mind standing in the place of your husband as a petitioner, your deceased spouse. So that's the answer. And if you want to find that live, again, it's about 6-8 weeks ago. I did a live directly on this topic. And that's why I always say either catch my lives or catch the replays. We always bring out so many new nuggets on these lives. I'm also good at asylum. Absolutely. If you check out our Instagram page, let me pull it up. The first, there's a lady at the top right here. We helped her get asylum. You see this lady right here? This is an asylum testimonial. And we won that asylum, I think, within 6 or 8 months, and that was last year. So, yes, we absolutely do asylum, and we do it very, very well. We got asylum for her. And this was in immigration court. Very, very hard to win an asylum case in immigration court. We won it. So, absolutely, yes, we do asylum, and we do it well. Okay, guys. At 6:30, and I see so many questions. Hi, how you doing, Mr. Mark? How you doing? I see you. Thank you for coming. I see you. And I see some people that I know here. Hi, guys. How you doing? If I'm your lawyer, if I'm your current lawyer, I want to thank you guys for showing up to my live. Please share this information. I shared so much information. Most importantly, I told you all the due process laws that apply here in the U.S. How here in the U.S., if you get a divorce from a U.S. court, you really need to wait at least 30, 60, even 90 days. In most U.S. come final. If you marry someone else during that time, you're technically married to two people at the same time. So I covered that and so much more. So if y'all not sharing this live, I'm gonna start to think y'all just selfish. If you don't share this live today, I'm gonna say you're selfish. You're very, 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 very selfish human being. If you don't share this live with your friend, your friends, your family, especially if you've already done one of these mistakes and you keep this information to yourself, as they say in Nigeria, you're wicked, though. You're wicked. You're very, very wicked, though. You're wicked. If you don't share this live today and it's helped you, and especially it's talking about some situation you know for a fact you struggled with or entered it's talking about a mistake you almost entered and you don't share, you're wicked. Very, 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 very wicked. You're wicked. Let me see how Nigerians say, you're wicked, oh, you're wicked. Anyway, guys, those jokes aside, share. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye. Take your time before you remarry. Remember that. At least 6 months to a year. Bye.